Hi, I'm AniKaspar. It is 12:27 p.m. on 4/28/2017, and this is a sworn testimony. I am a 58-year-old disabled woman, effectively disabled since 2008, with a variety of physical diagnoses only. I live in Florida, and I have lived in the United States of America since June of 2014. Prior to that, I lived in Puerto Rico for 6 years, and prior to that, in New Mexico for 6. In the last 20 years, since becoming inadvertently a women's rights and therefore human rights and civil rights advocate, I have experienced what can only be called blacklisting. In 1997, myself and 7 other women launched the landmark gender discrimination class action, Cremens et al. Versus Merrill Lynch. In 2004 and 5, I also assisted in the creation of a class action against Morgan Stanley. From the time of commencement of the class action in 1997, I began to receive death threats and started to have very strange interpersonal relationship issues. Suddenly, I was having issues with neighbors, I was having issues with my beau, I was having issues with friends. This had never, ever, ever happened before with any, seriously, I can't remember prior to this time. I also suddenly was having issues getting employment, and over the past 20 years, it has cascaded into what can only be called very aggressive blacklisting by whomever, whatever, for whatever reasons. Ultimately, I'm not quite sure. But this blacklisting has led to a complete destruction of my life, my health, my social network, my support systems, my creativity, my productivity. I have been disabled since 2008, and although I am fully disabled and paid over $1 million in taxes in my working years, the Social Security Administration declines to give me what I am supposed to have, which is about $2,500 a month. And instead, I've been forced to live on $760 a month. And I have been rendered completely destitute by what I can only say is some kind of illegal listing program. I have joined a group of individuals 3 months ago in beginning to bring these programs to the attention of folks that are supposed to have jurisdiction authority and review powers over them and potentially have an opportunity to terminate them and or remove someone from listing. It took me 3 years upon returning to the United States where the program elements that had begun to become very aggressive in '08 in Puerto Rico and escalated again very aggressively in 2011. And then when I returned to the United States, even went up more in 2014. I learned over about a 3-year period through very extensive research with experts in the field, very, very credible, reputable individuals who are monitoring all aspects of these programs and the physical, social, economic, and mental effects of them on folks so listed. I finally determined about 3 months ago to work on behalf of my community because I believed I was in a safe community where I could do that. Since January 18th of 2017, when I began to do this, my program elements, and there are fundamentally 3 elements. First is surveillance, the second is basically called organized stalking and or harassment, and the third is actually torture. All elements increased exponentially on that day and continued to increase and then mitigate until March 18th when I and a colleague of mine submitted a petition to the United Nations requesting an immediate intervention on the behalf of our moving group to to uh, to terminate these severe human rights violations. By in any stretch of imagination and or definition, what is being done to the listed throughout the world, and it's not just in the United States, is crimes against humanity, are crimes against humanity. They are reminiscent of concentration camp endeavors. They span everything from straight out torture to severe psychological gaslighting and abuse, all the way down to non-consensual experimentation with military-grade directed energy weapons and um, other elements. When we filed the UN filing, again, program elements went up astronomically, and I've documented that pretty consistently on this channel, and I have also documented it to a number of senators and congresspeople throughout the United States, as well as the UN, and also with the ACLU, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, and a few other entities. In addition to that, myself and a few other Floridians, because I am currently residing in Florida, submitted to Senator Marco Rubio's office a similar type of position. We requested them to introduce us to wherever we could go to be able to begin investigations into these programs and the illegalities and the criminalities that are born of them. On April 14th, myself and my colleagues submitted documentation requesting that Senator Rubio's office intervene on behalf of us with the FBI, DHS, CIA, NSA, FAA, FCC, and the Air Force. That documentation was submitted at approximately 3 p.m. on April 14th. By 4:30 p.m., my house began to be rocked, literally, by directed energy weapons. I don't pretend, nor do I want to know, to understand what these weapons are. All I do know is that I've become outrageously ill. Since then, my friend had to flee the home, and another friend who has been staying with me also has experienced the vibrations and the disquietness of the experience. I myself have had my health ruined. My blood pressure is off the map. I've had headaches the size of small galaxies and onward. My cat has become really ill as well, and she's a young kitten. I am making this testimonial today, and this is sworn testimony, because it is very likely, based on the way my program has been handled here in Sarasota, Florida, as well as in Ithaca, New York, Puerto Rico, and New Mexico, that I will die soon, not by my hand. And so I send this to you today because I want to simply say this. No one on the planet has the right to invade a non-criminal life and to destroy it hook, line, and sinker with what documentation from the CIA itself says is very severe targeting. No one has the right to do that to anyone for any reason. And because these programs are so covert, it's pretty clear that the perpetrators know that they don't have the right. They know that they are acting criminally, and they know that everything that they have done to myself, as well as to all of the other innocents all over the world, is going to get them a Nuremberg, Tokyo trial kind of situation, or they wouldn't be so cowardly and hide as they do behind directed energy weapons and crazy organized stalking by community and friends. And it's simply outrageous what has been allowed to develop on our planet in the past 20 years in the name of protection against terrorism, The people who have developed these programs developed them long ago and have run them on other countries independently as kind of petri dishes. These people are the true terrorists, whether they are in the military and intelligence or in the corporate environment. They are terrorists. They are criminally, mentally ill, and they need to be detained and quarantined. They need to be removed from the planet as best as possible. They need to be removed from any seat of power as immediately as possible. And you need to stand up for your rights right now. Because if these individuals have the ethical structure to torture for 20 years a single woman who has no criminal history, who's exceptionally talented, and who only stood up for women's rights twice in her life, never attended a protest, never did anything but share things on Facebook, and then attack her with such directed energy weapons that she has to be hospitalized. Her own physician has been documenting very carefully and is very concerned. You have a problem if you don't stand up, because you'll be next for the smallest thing. You don't have to be an advocate for anything. At this juncture, your free being is at stake. Everything you think, you do, you speak, you create is at stake. And it is the same for your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren. So I invite you today to investigate very thoroughly the watch listing programs that commence these torturous 21st century Zersetzung programs that absolutely destroy lives for nothing. For nothing. If you have any questions or would like to contact me, I am available at 941-356-8007. My email address is Annie, ANIKaspar, KASPAR @gmail. In addition to that, I am seeking safe harbor because my home has been bombarded 24/7 with directed energy weapons now for 3 weeks. And no matter where I report it, and I've documented it with EMF readings, I've documented it with a lot of stuff. The delusion that America has fallen into, the totalitarian delusion, is such that good people are aiding and abetting the murder of very good people. And in any dictatorship, any totalitarian government, this is exactly the road you do not want to ever go on, be on. Thank you so much. Again, this is a sworn testimony of AniKaspar on 4/28/2017. I may be reached at 941-356-8007 or at AniKaspar @gmail.com. Thank you.